Hey everyone, I'm going to do my test here with a Titleist RCT Pro V1 balls. Got a few of them sitting right there. Nice stack of tees, and I'm going to compare them with a Vice Pro Zero, which I think is kind of close to a Pro V1 based on Vice, and see if the difference in spin is captured by the Garmin R10, which is set up here on a nice leveling stand. I'm going to try to record some swings, and then I'm going to capture the data using the Garmin app on the iPad later and try to merge that all together into a video and then let you guys know what the results are. We'll see if the results are the same between the two. I'm hitting into my Spornia SPG 8 net. Got a stack of tees ready to go, and I've got my clubs and my iPad over here in the shade because, as many of you know, the iPads do not like the bright sun. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and then when I overlay the video, I'll put everything together and kind of explain what's going on, and we'll see how things go. Okay, so here are the sessions I recorded in the Garmin app using the R10. This first one here was with regular Vice golf balls, and I probably won't pull up each one of these shots, but let's take a look first at the driver shots. And this one here was a decent drive. Spin rate was 3629 RPMs, and then the carry distance was 240 yards. Total distance was 251. Not a bad drive, but not the best. And then I had another one that was, I guess this one's decent too. 3776. So, still pretty high spin rate. I should be getting a better distance, I think. 7-iron shots. This is probably the only decent 7-iron shot I hit, and it had 6970 RPMs, just shy of 7,000. Carry was 148. That's reasonable, realistic distance for me with the 7-iron on a typical day. And then lastly, let's look at some wedge shots. Some of these are like little chip type, a little bit more than a chip shot, but chip-ish shots. This number 7 here was a really thin shot, so I'm not going to look at that one. But here's kind of a normal pitching wedge, 7657. As you can see, all of those numbers are in italics, so that's kind of the Garmin's way of showing that it was calculated, I think, from what I've heard. And you'll notice with the RCT balls that changes. And here's another, just a nice little kind of a bumper run shot that I do. The spin rate on that was 45.07.
So that's how things looked with a Vice golf ball that was not an RCT ball. These shots were pretty straight. The next time I do this, I'm going to do it with mix the shots together, so I'm not hitting a bunch of shots with a Vice ball and getting tired or having something funky go on. If I alternate, I'll probably get better data. Let me stop this one and I'll switch over to the other format. Okay, so here is a session that I recorded with the Titleist RCT balls. You'll notice right away that my dispersion was kind of all over the place. I kind of think that I was getting tired and hot and I was not hitting the ball very well, but we can take a little bit of a look at the data just to show you some things. So starting with the driver, it really was not hitting very well. This one distance here, decent, but man, did I yank it. So it went pretty far to the left, but you'll notice the spin rate was only 2254, significantly lower than with the Vice golf balls. This partially might be because I pulled it, but that was a decent distance anyways. And then otherwise the driver, I did not hit very well at all in this second session. Another less obnoxiously wild drive is here. This one had a 3378 spin rate, so that's higher and closer to the Vice golf balls, but you notice it's not in italics, so I think it was actually measuring and not calculating. Perhaps I was hitting the ball poorly in both sessions, although this felt bad, and maybe the curvature on it is more accurate due to this better spin rate measurements. I'm not sure about that, so don't quote me on it. If I look at some other shots here with the pitching wedge, let's start with the 7-iron. Here's kind of a comparable of the other shot that was pretty good with Vice golf balls. This one had a measured spin rate of 7,400, pretty good 7-iron, carry distance 150, so a little bit further than without it. And I think I actually hit that ball, pretty decently if I'm looking at the, some of the metrics. Don't really like that attack angle, but many aspects of that shot are pretty good. Pitching wedge, here's kind of a comparable, I guess, there. Notice the spin rate on this pitching wedge is 10,255 RPMs. That's quite a bit higher than with the non-RCT balls. So that's that there, and I already showed you the driver. Let me show you one of the kind of bump and run type shots that I like to hit. This one's probably the best comparison, and the spin rate there is 5493, and then another bump and run here, 5327. I'll compare those with the non-RCT balls there too. So then I was trying also to hit a few more drives after I played 18 holes, and really was pulling the ball quite a bit. So I'll just show you some of these. I was also working on some things with my grip too, so that might have some impact, but here's one that I hit reasonably far. Again, much lower spin rate, 3213, so not too bad. So that's where we're at, and the main thing I'll notice is that it does actually really measure the spin rate when you use the RCT ball. So I assume that it's much more accurate, and can't just go by a couple data points. You'll notice that sometimes I'm at 2200, sometimes I'm at like closer to 4000. And obviously the higher spin rates don't have as much of a run out as the lower spin rate numbers do. For example, like this one that I just showed, much lower spin rate, rolled a lot further than the other one. So that's kind of what we're working with there. Let me see if I can go back and even show like an older one with the driver and see what it was showing, maybe back on September 9th, see if I had any decent drives there. So I had one decent drive here. Let me go to that real quick. Let's see. Looks to be about this one. You know, the spin rate here was 3330. You can see that it was calculated. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like you're getting a little bit more distance with the driver with the RCT balls than you do with the regular ones. It's probably because it's measuring actual speed or actual spin versus calculations. It's not a huge difference, so I don't think that the Garmin algorithm is bad. It's I actually honestly think it does a pretty decent job. Here's an old 7-iron at 6505. They're within range. So I think whether, you know, are the RCT balls worth it or not, I say yes, because you're not going to lose them hitting them into your, you know, net. So I know they're expensive, but you know, who cares if you're not losing them. I think they're worth it. They're not that expensive, but I would definitely not use them on the course.